and he slipped.
And I'm freaking excited. Tomorrow we are going snowboarding. I'm Keelan and this is Sarah. We have been fishing, surfing, full driving our way around Australia for the past year now. Meet Percy and Keith Urban, our trusty steeds. Subscribe to join our adventure.
Hey, listen up, I've tried to tell you this 100 times. Not getting better by lying there pretending to cry.
So we just pulled over, we're heading towards Kaikoura today, and we've stumbled across a massive colony of spur seals. We're pretty sure they're definitely not sea lions. They're not like that big bugger we saw down near Invercargill. They're definitely a lot smaller, and we accidentally got startled by one, and it got startled by us, but it was sitting like 2 meters away and we had no idea for so long, and then it just popped its head up. So funny. They're so cute, these little animals, and they're definitely a bit scared of humans because they're a bit skittish. They run away pretty quick, but we're going to keep our distance and enjoy the show. But it's pretty cool. Today it's raining again, but we're heading towards Kaikoura, and apparently that's such a sick spot, so we're going to check the sea lions out, or spur seals or whatever they are, and then keep going.
Keelan was just walking up the rocks and he slipped. And the rock was like in between his legs and he's like
I look like a little seal.
oh my god, I've never seen your face so shocked in my life. Oh.
So we just got into Kaikoura. I'm pretty sure we're saying it right, not 100% sure. We are loving the east coast, like totally different to the west coast. Just the rawness of this section of coast near Kaikoura here is amazing. It reminds us a lot of home in Western Australia, down in the southwest. We've got seals down there as well. We're currently trying to find some whales. Apparently you get some good whales here at Kaikoura. So we are loving it. It is freezing cold though. We've parked the van up at the top 10 caravan park. We thought we'd treat ourselves to a $50 a night caravan park. So just had a shower. I'm feeling super clean, super fresh, not stinky anymore, and Sarah can tolerate me. So we're going to keep walking and maybe check out some surf breaks. I've had some hot tips from the locals, but I'm not going to give away any spots because it was all in good faith. So how cool is that view? It's amazing. Did you get a little friend, did ya?
Yeah, I know, a little hawk. We came around the corner and he was just sitting there, and Keelan's like, going to try and get a shot of him, and I was sure that this hawk would just fly away, but we walked so slowly right on the edge of the thing, and he just sat there watching us and let us get like quite close to him, take photos and videos of him. It was amazing. I've never been that close to a hawk in my life. It did scare me a little bit.
His claws were bigger than yours.
Yeah, he was like holding onto the piece of wood. It was so scary, but he was really cool. So close and so cool to see him that close. Dead seal down the bottom, but there looks like a bit of blood around it, so it's either fallen from up on the cliff, somehow it's managed to get itself up and it's fallen down, or maybe it's like washed into the rocks and like injured itself and then tried to get up. But it's pretty horrific. Makes me so sad, it makes me want to cry.
We're trying to get Sarah as close to a seal as physically possible. Oh, damn it. Clarence.
Damn, I missed a photo opportunity.
Bloody Clarence. What are you going to call him?
Roger.
Who?
Roger.
Roger.
Roger. Roger the seal.
I'm here with my boy Sammy. He's pretty keen, eh? He must know the tides pretty well because he's about this far from getting swept off the rock every time a swell pushes through.
I think he's just fast asleep.
Yeah, he's just snoozing, eh? Not a care in the world. Amazing creatures. I love them. After comparing belly fat with Sammy the seal and deciding I was the winner, it was time for a surf. A local bloke had told us a tale about a little wave down the coast that might be breaking today. We ventured out that way and were greeted by perfect 6 to 8 foot sets in an uncrowded lineup with only seals as friends. I decided to paddle out and brave the cold. As I was paddling out though, I copped a 6 to 8 foot set on the head. 10 waves consecutively, enough to drown the average human. Even though I'm a half decent surfer, you've really got to leave your ego at the door when you're surfing New Zealand. This massive untouched raw coastline packs power, and it can humble you pretty quickly. So, we've left Kaikoura and we've made our way down past Christchurch, and I'm freaking excited for one reason, right? Not actually two. It's dinner time and Sarah's cooked up a delicious hot meal, but tomorrow we are going snowboarding
And skiing.
At Mt Hutt. We've gone and done it. It's bloody expensive. We'll get into the expenses in a minute, but how exciting. Sarah hasn't skied for a long time.
10 years.
10 years, and I haven't snowboarded for about 5. So I lived in Canada for a year, and Sarah's actually skied on Mt Hutt before when she was a school kid. Insane. Can't wait, but it is expensive, and so just the hire boards, gear and stuff alone was
$500 for 3 days.
$500 for 3 days, which is insane.
And
then
the bus was $150 for 3 days. And then skiing for 3 days was $650.
and then plus accommodation, like obviously we're staying in a caravan park, but most people wouldn't have a caravan to stay in, so you'd have to get a hotel, which is insane. So for 3 days it's going to cost us around $1,200, but it's going to be worth it.
We were contemplating going skiing again when we got home at Perisher, but
or Threadboat.
Yeah, be able to afford it.
Yeah, it's freaking expensive, but we are pumped. We don't care about the money in this instance because it's been so long between drinks, and it's going to be good to get in the snow. So you've got that to look forward to tomorrow. Finally, the ute looks like a proper adventure ute. It's got the surfboard in the back. It's got skis in there. It's got bloody
surfboards,
snowboards,
surfboards, snowboards.
It's insane. So yeah, can't wait for that tomorrow. We got a bright and early start. We're catching the bus up there, 40-minute bus ride, so that should be fun. Packing the AirPods and a few Netflix docos maybe. Get me pumped up to hit the slopes. So anyway, guys, we'll see you in the morning, bright and early. I can't wait.
Didn't mean those things, I'm sorry. Doesn't matter anyway. We've been here one time too many. Wonder what will happen next. We both know that this ship's going down. Let's get off and leave before we drown. There's nothing left for us to say.
Oh, on your board.
There's nothing left for us to say. We'll see through. 'Cause we'll see through. We promised that nothing would break us, that we'd always
Oh, Keelan.
always said that dust had settled.
That sun is so bright. So we made it up to Mt Hutt. Today is absolute sick day, bluebird. No powder though, it's pretty hard, icy snow as you could probably hear from that guy. Bloody cutting ice, but it's It's good to be back on the board. Sarah's ripping on the skis.
Really not. I'm not moving from the beginners one.
I've definitely fallen off more than Sarah though, that's for sure.
Keelan tried to get me to go on like the harder run, but I literally looked down, it was so steep, no way. I'm just going to stay on the old beginners.
Yeah, so Sarah hasn't snowboarded, skied since she was 16, and it's like riding a horse, you just get
But
back on when you fall off.
And you're a advanced,
Yeah.
so it's a little bit awkward for us to be doing it together.
Hectic runs where Sarah wants to say to the beginners, but that's okay.
I said, Keelan, I'll meet you at the bottom.
I've done a few black diamonds, well, one black diamond today, which was enough for me.
I look so bad in this helmet and goggles.
I don't
What
think
the hell?
no one looks good in helmet and goggles though. Anyway, it's a perfect day. We're going to keep going. We've got tomorrow here as well, and then we're pretty much out of New Zealand, so it's a little bit bittersweet.
Back to the sunshine.
Yeah, this is our last hurrah. Bittersweet for us, so we'll keep you guys informed. Hopefully no injuries. I'm trying more and more things now, so
Yeah.
we'll see how we go. Day 3 is pretty much come to a wrap now. Another beautiful bluebird day.
Yeah.
Sarah's been crushing the blue runs today. So yesterday she was on the greens.
I
now,
swore I wouldn't come off the greens, but I did it. I went on the blue.
yeah, and she's been shredding. Like honestly,
Definitely not shredding.
she's
Lots
like,
of pizza.
it's pretty steep. Like obviously the camera won't do it justice, but like it's enough to put the willies up most people. So yeah, it's pretty steep, but Sarah seems to be killing it at the moment. But it is freezing. As soon as that sun goes down, it is cold as buggery, colder than Santa's big toe. Anyway, I've taken a few stacks today. Haven't done any jumps for about five years, so I'm a bit rusty, but we're pretty much done now. Like me and Sarah are so tired and satisfied. It's been well worth it. Yeah, it's definitely satisfied our hunger for a bit of a ski, so definitely recommend coming to Mt Hutt, even though its nickname is Mt Shut. So anyway, we'll wrap it up here and we'll see you guys back in the caravan. Surprise, we're back in Australia, we're back in Keith. He doesn't seem as big anymore for some reason. I'm sure you guys know why. We're going to chat about a few things. So the New Zealand trip was epic. We got home safely, obviously. But there's a few things we need to wrap up and recap, and tips we need to give you guys. So if you are planning a trip like this, it might be worth your while sticking around and having a bit of a listen to what we're about to say. So Sarah will probably take off the most important thing about this whole trip.
That's money. So a lot of people have asked us, how much did your trip cost you? Including flights, accommodation, fuel, food, everything that we spent. We spent around $10,000 in the 5 weeks. So it wasn't a cheap holiday, that's for sure. It was a lot of our savings, but it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, so we sort of budgeted for around 5 or 6.
We doubled it.
So we doubled it, and that was us being like not stingy. Like, we still did a lot of activities like you guys would have seen, but the fuel prices,
food and stuff, like we didn't really eat out except for when we were in Queenstown. Like we did budget, and it was still very expensive. So if you are thinking of going to New Zealand, just keep in mind it is actually quite expensive.
It's one of those things, like, you got to eat, so it's not something that you can skimp out on. It's not a want, it's a need. You need to eat, you need to put fuel in the car. So that's a good segue into fuel prices and grocery prices. So in a nutshell, we think it's around 20% more expensive over there for groceries, and diesel and petrol, I reckon's around 30 to 40%, probably 30% more. So we're paying, whilst we're in Australia, we're paying around $2. We go to New Zealand and it was about $2.80 to $3.10. That was the range we're paying. So you can imagine how quickly that dwindles into your budget, and we were watching money just pour out of our accounts.
And like, even though you're not having to drive as far as you do in Australia, it still uses a lot of fuel, because rather than driving on flat, you're driving on mountains. So we were still going through a lot of fuel like we would in Australia. So.
Yeah. Plenty of right jandal, and safe to say the Lone Ranger was absolutely drinking the fuel. So, but anyway, like I said, groceries and fuel are more expensive in New Zealand, so keep that in mind.
I might put together like a little blog on our website of meals that we ate while we were over there. We did try and eat quite cheap, and we made like big meals on like a budget. So I can put together a little blog on that if you guys want.
While we're on that topic, if you guys have any other questions for us regarding New Zealand, I'm sure we won't cover them all here today, but if you do, drop them in the comments. We'll answer them there, and we'll probably do a Q&A coming up, so they will definitely get answered. So just drop them in below. Anything you want to know. So the next thing we want to talk about is, if you get a travel card, you can't always get cash out, and in Australia, cash seems to be like fading away. No businesses are really taking cash, just cash only, sorry, I should make mention to. So in New Zealand, there was like a few instances where we didn't have cash on hand and we couldn't actually do things because it was a cash only business. So, and when you got a travel card, you can't just swipe it in an ATM. It doesn't let you get money out because it's on credit for some reason. So if you are going to go to New Zealand, we would recommend getting a lot of cash, say like $300-400, paying for card every time that you can. And then them instances where you need cash, at least you've got it, you don't miss out, which we did a few times, which is
and then small things like, if you've got your travel card linked to your Australian phone number, then you can't actually load more money onto the travel card because it's attached to your Australian phone number. So we were like on the phone trying to change our phone number over to a New Zealand one. So yeah, that was a bit of a hassle, but just small things you need to think about that we didn't.
The next thing I forgot to talk about with the diesel is that there's a diesel tax in New Zealand. So diesel is cheaper than petrol in New Zealand, which is good. But in Australia, diesel is more expensive. But in New Zealand, it's cheaper because they pay a tax to the government per 1,000 k's they drive. So every 1,000 k's, you are meant to pay the New Zealand government $80 per 1,000 k's you drive, on top of taxes and road costs. So we didn't thankfully have to pay that because we had a hire car, which is awesome. But it's not cheap if you have your own car over there for a diesel car. So a lot of the cars over there, in the end, we found out that they were actually petrol because it's cheaper to run a petrol.
Or hybrids.
Yeah, a lot of hybrids as well. So with that being said, the next big juicy topic is whether, actually I'll ask Sarah because Sarah's got a different opinion to it than me. We're not going to fight about it, but yeah, we do have a difference in opinion. So if you could choose, Sarah, between the Armalite or the 20-foot Extreme, so this is 16 foot for everyone watching, and it's a narrower caravan, so we don't actually have as much space as the 20 foot, would you choose the 20 foot or the 16 foot?
So basically the only thing that is more appealing about a full-size caravan is the storage at the top of the caravan. So you've got more storage, basically.
No pop top.
Yeah,
so.
no pop top, more storage, and then a separate toilet and shower. When you're living in it full time, it can get a little bit annoying going to the shower and toilet in the same space because the toilet gets all wet and stuff. But obviously, like, it's not the end of the world. We love our 16-foot van, but we're talking in an ideal world, what would I prefer? And yeah, to be honest, I did really like the big van, so.
Yeah, and at the moment, my opinion on that matter, like obviously the 16 foot, you're more nimble, flexible, you can get through little tracks, take it on the beach, all that stuff. We actually haven't towed a 20 foot extreme model in Australia, so we're actually going off New Zealand conditions, which isn't the best and fairest test, but pretty well we thought when you have something smaller and you go to something a bit more bigger and lavish, like you can't help yourself but feel like you wish you had the next step. Like now we've got a taste for it, we're like, oh yeah, that looks good, but if we hadn't have done that, we still would have been like ridiculously happy with the van that we got now, and we still are. And my opinion is I would rather have a smaller van at this given time than a bigger van. That may change in the future, but I think that the flexibility about towing this van behind the Prado, we can get to a lot more places than we did. And in New Zealand, the road conditions are gnarly. Like, thank God we had disc brakes on some of them roads, but the Armalite would have been a lot lighter. Yeah, so I think that, my personal opinion, I'd rather have the 16-foot Armalite still. I know that sounds a bit funny, but it may change in the future, but currently that's what I think. Just as the tower and the driver, it was so much easier to navigate this little van than a big 20-foot van, but that may change. So anyway, that's our difference in opinion. So I'll go on. I know a lot of people ask that too, because we cop that a lot, and I said we'll make a video on it.
Basically, the only reason I don't want to like admit that I really liked the big van was because lately we've copped a little bit of flack from people saying like, oh, you don't always have to have the best. So now I actually feel bad saying like that I liked the next van, which is a bit silly. But
don't feel bad. Everyone has their opinion about it, and we've had a taste of like the Flash's van, you know, on the Australian market, like we literally, and the New Zealand market now. So we've had a taste for that, and now we're drooling over it. So. But it's good to be home, it's good to be in the smaller van. It did take a little bit to get adjusted to. Same size bed. This one's comfier because it's got the mattress topper and stuff like that. So the Armalite does have perks to it. And this is our home. Like, this just feels like home to us. Like, the 20 foot's nice, but it's not home. So anyway, we'll get into the next question.
Next question that we had is, if we would do New Zealand again, would we go winter or summer in New Zealand?
I reckon that we did something that wasn't common. So there was no one on the road, no tourists, no people in caravan parks. Caravan park owners were actually surprised to see us towing a caravan at that time of the year, which pretty much speaks volume about when it's the most popular time. Obviously summer's very popular over there, especially on the South Island. So I don't regret it at all. We experienced something that not many people get to experience, which is...
we basically went to like some of the most touristy places ever and had it to ourselves every single time. It was amazing.
And like, we weren't meant to get a full winter when we were there, but speaking to the locals, we had a very unseasonal cold snap this year, and it come very early. So we actually experienced a New Zealand winter in a caravan, which sounds crazy. And we circumnavigated the whole island in winter, which is something in itself. So we're pretty proud of that. And to be honest with you, we loved it. So you've got to be a bit tough if you're going to go in winter. Be prepared for the coldness of it, and the road conditions too were challenging at the best of times. You saw it first here. We were struggling at some times, and yeah, I had no idea about towing in the ice and snow and stuff like that. Obviously, you do the best you can. You speak to locals, you do your homework, and you research the roads before you get on them. But apart from that, it was freaking epic. But we'd love to do it in the summer, I think.
Seeing all the locations on the East Coast where all the water and stuff was so beautiful. Like in summer, that place would be insane. So
yeah, definitely. And the North Island versus South Island argument, like, there is a massive rivalry in New Zealand. Like, Australians probably don't realise how much some of the people in the North Island despise the South Island and vice versa.
And they've all got opinions on which one's better. But
yeah. So apparently the South Island is this is not our opinion, this is just what we've been told, so don't shoot us.
By all the South Islanders.
Yeah, anyway, so South Island's more mountainous and sort of prettier terrain, where the North Island there's more surfing, fishing, sort of more activities, a bit more forgiving the environment, where the South Island is brutal. Like we said in the videos, it's the closest point to Antarctica pretty much, so it's going to cop it. So yeah, that's what we've heard from the locals. But saying that, we've been speaking to Fortis Caravans and we're hoping to tee up a North Island trip coming up, which will be super exciting. Definitely pack a fishing rod this time. Everyone's been getting at me about not catching any trout. Yeah, next time we'll pack the fishing rods, and that's...
It was just felt like a waste. Like, we didn't want to go and buy a fishing rod for one use and then throw it out. Like, it's just creating waste that we didn't need to. So
yeah, and also money, because people were saying just go buy a fishing rod, but we'd already doubled our budget. Like, we were way over our budget. And
I guess we could give it to an op shop or something, but you know, you don't want to just buy something and then use it once. And
10 grand to us, for most people it might not sound like a heck of a lot of money, but
it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, but we wouldn't take it back. We had the sickest time, and we can't recommend it enough.
So the next question we had was, how did we find camps over there? And it's pretty much exactly the same as Australia. So over in New Zealand they've got Wiki Camps NZ. However, it is not the same as the Australian app.
We found that with the KFC app as well. It's not the same as the Australian KFC app.
Like, they don't upload reviews, they don't put photos up. If you go on an Australian campsite, everyone knows, like, there's hundreds of photos to swipe through, all these reviews. But in New Zealand it's not like that. It pretty much just has the basic description of it. So it was very different, but Keelan got onto an app. What's it called? It's called
NZMCA. So you've got to sign up to the it stands for New Zealand Motor Camping Association. So pretty well, I think it's around $100, and you get this wing sticker for the front of your caravan, which pretty much shows that you're a member. And everyone waves to each other with the wings. Yeah, everyone literally, you're driving along, you got two bloody mitts on the bloody, two paws on the wheel, and they go like this. Like the most exaggerated wave, eh? It's crazy. So but anyway, you get this app and it unlocks all these different camps. They're all low cost, so they're about $5 a night, just enough to keep them running. They're off-grid, so in New Zealand they don't call it off-grid. They're not powered, so you don't expect any power, but they're $5 a night, so it's just as good as a free camp pretty well. And it's important for... I've had a few questions from ladies who are thinking about going to New Zealand and they weren't sure about safety and things like that. All of the NZMCA camps had gates around them, so if you're travelling solo and you're a little bit worried about being safe at night time, I would definitely recommend getting that app, because all of the camps on there were very safe and they all were gated and locked at night, so you're quite safe. And I forgot to mention as well, if you buy the association membership, you actually get access to a lot of discounts with a lot of major groups over there. So like, I think it's Noel Leemings, which is like our JB Hi-Fi equivalent, etc. And also a few other ones that will be coming in handy for you guys, especially if like you're doing caravan parks and stuff. If you want to get a night of power. 10% off most caravan parks. It did pay itself off, we think. So definitely jump on that one, and it shows you a really nice map of New Zealand, and all the different camps on it, whichever area you're in. So pretty much the same as Wiki Camps, but I think that's better in New Zealand than the apps. The next one we'll talk about is droning in New Zealand. So everyone has drones these days, so it's really important to talk about drones and being responsible. So there's a few reasons why we didn't drone too much. Like, don't get me wrong, the landscape is insane, and it would have looked so cool on the drone. If Sarah had $1 for every time I've bloody mumbled, I wish I could drone this spot, or this would look epic on the drone, she'd be rich. So there's a few reasons why we didn't. So basically over there they have all of these massive signs everywhere that say no drones, and I'm not talking like the little signs that you see in Australia that you accidentally miss. These things are like huge, you cannot miss them. Massive signs saying no drones. So if a country is willing to put massive signs up that say no drones, then I'm sure they're willing to give you a huge slap on the wrist. So pretty much the whole, like everywhere we went, there were those signs everywhere, which I'm assuming was in mostly national parks or something, but they're very strict on their drones, and we only flew it like a few times, and that was only when we knew we were permitted to. So in New Zealand also there's aerodromes, helicopter landing points, little airports. Every farmer pretty much has a freaking airport, it seems. So that's why you're not allowed to drone anywhere within 4 kilometers of any sort of airport or landing point for helicopters or planes, which pretty much covers the whole New Zealand, especially the pretty areas, because that's where they're doing all the scenic flights. And yeah, you wouldn't want to fly your drone into someone's propeller in an actual manned aircraft, because you could bring it down and we just thought that that risk was just too extreme for us to even think about doing it, and we'd also be breaking the law. So that's why you didn't see much drone footage. And that's another thing you've got to consider when you are traveling New Zealand that you probably didn't know of before. So all in all, what's your thought of New Zealand all in all? Yeah, what's your opinion on New Zealand? Give it to me straight.
I think it was amazing. Like, it's so much in one space. It's just next level. Like, it is amazing, and 110% recommend going there. It was so worth the money that we spent. It was really beautiful.
And full disclaimer, that did sound like an ad for New Zealand. We're definitely not getting paid by New Zealand to say this.
By New Zealand.
Everyone keeps saying, I hope New Zealand's paying you like the travel, whatever, and we're like, nah, this is self-funded as it gets. But alright, so I reckon about New Zealand, that sounds so Australian. I reckon about New Zealand. So it's over the ditch, obviously, and they do cop a hard whack about Pavlovas and Lamingtons and all sorts of stuff. And once you get home, you can look back and reflect on that trip, and that's when you realise how bloody sick was that. That was pretty... We were the first ones to do it from Australia that obviously have a YouTube channel. So we struggled to find much content for planning purposes. We just went over there, winged it. Tried our best, tried to pronounce all the New Zealand names, failed miserably because we can't speak, and people probably think we're bogans. And yeah, we had a sick time. Every day was an adventure, and even the times where we found black ice on the road and we're trying to drive up a mountain, we have no idea what we're doing. We were still smiling ear to ear at the bottom of the mountain, full of adrenaline, snowboarding, surfing, sea lions. Insane. We would recommend it to anyone. It's an adventure of a lifetime, and it should be on everyone's bucket list. We couldn't do that place justice on the camera, and you're gonna have to go and have a look for yourself. So a few people...
That's a thumbs up from both of us.
Yeah, pretty well. So a few people we'd like to thank, obviously all of you guys for watching. We definitely couldn't do this without you guys. You guys are the heart and soul of the channel, and we thank you all immensely. Patreons.
Thanks for embracing the New Zealand content.
You'd like to thank our Patreons. You guys are legends. You've been sticking with us from day one, and we can't thank you enough. Obviously, we've got to thank Urban Caravans. Obviously, Fortis Caravans, New Zealand's urban dealer in the North and South Island. You guys are legends. You've made us feel at home there. The owners are New Zealanders, and they know that country really well, and just set us up perfectly for that trip, even though we didn't have a diesel heater. But anyway, that's another thing. All urban vans will now come standard with a diesel heater if they come to New Zealand. So that's another great thing. And yeah, everyone that's played a part in this trip, we couldn't thank you enough. And we definitely couldn't do it without you. So we're the luckiest people on earth. And we're so privileged to be doing what we're doing. So for us now, we're heading up to the Cape York. We're going to shotgun up there, get up to some warm weather, which will be good. Do some mods on Percy because it has been breaking down a little bit. We'll get into that in another video. Thanks heaps for watching, legends. Make sure you like, and if you haven't yet, subscribe. We're going to be ramping up the episodes. It's going to be sick. So thanks heaps, legends, and go watch this video right here.